Hello. So my name is Kian Murati, and I'm going to be speaking to you guys about my perspective on masking regarding COVID-19. And hopefully, I can convince a few of you guys that it might still be a good idea to, continue wearing a mask uh, in public and when we go out, despite being like 2 or 3 years into the pandemic. Because there are still some health concerns that a lot of people have that should be, I feel, recognized and treated um, respectfully. So to begin with, despite many of the differences that you and I may have, or me and other people in this class may have about wearing a mask or political issues that surround wearing a mask, the United States Center for Disease Control is probably one of the most agreed upon sources of health information that we have in this country, right? So a lot of information about vaccines and viruses can be found on that page. And the CDC is a very political organization. It's not like red or blue. It really doesn't have anything to do with the political process in the United States, but it is a government institution, and I feel like it's pretty easy to understand that the entire purpose of the organization is really to just keep people safe. There's no personal agenda or uh, political agenda behind any of the decisions they make, really, or there shouldn't be. There may be, but there's no way for us to really like get into the nitty gritty. But we can just leave it at that. It's meant to help keep people in the United States safe, and they've already uploaded many different infographics that would suggest that wearing a mask is a good way to stay safe from COVID, and that masking does work. So if someone comes to you and says, hey, I don't think masking is an effective measure that we can take to reduce the likelihood of us contracting a disease, we could be like, hey, the CDC is something that we're all supposed to be familiar with and understand is meant to help us. And they would suggest otherwise. They would suggest that wearing a mask is indeed something that can reduce the likelihood of you contracting a harmful virus, and they would suggest that it's good to continue wearing a mask, especially regarding COVID-19, because of the fact that the virus is still going around. Maybe some of us aren't as likely to suffer extreme consequences from contracting the disease, but it is still going around nonetheless. So if we want to reduce the likelihood of getting it and spreading it, wearing a mask would be a good suggestion. And the CDC obviously hires health professionals, people who have a background in academia, health, and research. And most of us are probably average Joe United States citizens who aren't too familiar with like the process of creating a vaccine, the time it takes, or the energy it takes, or the knowledge it takes to put together something that does what it's supposed to. And if these officials are indeed supposed to like be more well educated on the subject, well, I think we should trust them just as we trust doctors that we go to when we go to our like primary healthcare providers, or when we go to the eye doctor. We don't really critique them on their background, or there are already standards or benchmarks that they have to meet themselves, and the CDC is probably no different. So we should just find it pretty easy to trust the um, statements that they put out regarding health issues. So apart from that, you know, maybe that's not enough to motivate us to continue wearing a mask. We might still find it problematic to abide by what the CDC has to says for maybe like personal reasons. But there are probably still a lot of people in our local communities that are wearing a mask. I feel like when I go out, I still see, maybe not everyone's wearing a mask, maybe not even half, but half, like 50% of the people I see. But there are still a lot of people I see that are wearing masks when I go to coffee shops, to bookstores, the mall. And even though we might have our personal disagreements, it should be easy to find it within ourselves to try to respect that there may be reasons that we don't understand why someone else feels the need to continue wearing a mask, because obviously if they had no health risks, they probably would feel okay not wearing a mask either, but it may be that they're immunocompromised, that they have family members that they live with that they just can't risk passing the virus on to, or maybe they just can't afford to be bedridden for a few days because they can't lose those hours at their job, to make money for food, groceries, bills, etc. So out of respect, I feel like it should be pretty easy to kind of understand that even if there's no reason for us to continue wearing a mask or for us to feel like we are any health risk, there are still a lot of people in our communities that you might see whenever you go out to your local coffee shop, or even whenever you're getting fast food. you might see people that are wearing a mask behind the register, and just out of courtesy, I feel like we should still be respecting their decisions and their wishes for us to try to keep each other safe from contracting COVID. Lastly, I understand a lot of people feel like, at the end of the day, it's my decision to wear a mask or to not wear a mask, and there's nothing that other people can do to stop me. And that's true. The mask mandate is pretty much over in a lot of places throughout the country, and just as you have the right to, free speech, like unrestricted personal beliefs, you're allowed to behave how you want, and yeah, there'll be consequences. But like, initially, you are allowed to like do certain things, say how you feel about certain things. But uh, in rebuttal, I would ask that you may consider the fact that your actions do have the ability to, almost, or maybe potentially even just ruin the lives of strangers that you're not really familiar with, or that there's no reason, you have no ill will towards them. So why would you try to, or not intentionally try to, but why would you ever leave the risk of ruining someone else's life that you don't even know? Um, a lot of people may say, "Oh, if another person is not wearing a mask, why should I have to wear a mask to keep them safe?" And I feel like there are similarities between COVID 19 and other diseases that are more common, have been around for longer, such as the flu or the common cold. Whenever we contract sicknesses like that at school or at home, we usually try to avoid other people because we don't want to give them these sicknesses, because a lot of times people might find themselves hospitalized, or if we're interacting with older people, they're bedridden, they can't even move, and it's not as easy for them to recover as younger people, right? So we do everything that we can to prevent spreading those more common diseases. And we already know that COVID-19 is a much more lethal disease. It's led to many deaths in recent years as compared to the common cold or the flu. And all it takes is for us to put on a mask. It's just an accessory. You only have to do it while you're out, and you're with other people. If everyone's doing it, I feel like it makes it a little less uncomfortable for everyone. You're kind of understanding that you're all in this together. No one's trying to ostracize anybody else for wearing one or for not wearing one, because at the end of the day, the entire purpose is to just keep people safe. It's not really to do anything other than that. It's not like someone wearing a mask is going to think to themselves, "Oh, I'm so much better than you. Like, wearing a mask is cool." I don't think any of us like wearing a mask. I don't like wearing a mask. I stay in my room usually all day. But when it comes to going out, I feel like wearing a mask is something that, should be taken more seriously, just because the virus is still there. And so, yeah, hopefully I've convinced a few of you guys. And yeah, I'm excited to read your guys' questions, and hopefully we'll leave some good answers for you guys. Thank you.